Hi, I'm Miley. I'm your mocktail mama today. Welcome to the Stage Right Speakeasy.
I'll be the one if you want me to. Anywhere I would have followed you.
Today we're going to be making Eliza's Burning Mad Mimosas. Now, this is a drink that I have had multiple times, and it is actually really good. So what we're going to start off with is a big scoop of ice. A nice big scoop of ice. And then we're going to add some of melted Icarus wing, which is actually very tasty. And you're going to fill it to about there in your glass. And then after that, you're going to take some blood, sweat, and tears. And we're going to go ahead and lean the glass on its side so that you get a really nice layer. And you're going to pour it down the side, on the side. You should get a really cool layer just like that. And there you have it, Eliza's Burning Mad Mimosa. Sit back, take a sip, and relax. We hope you enjoy Burn, sung by our very own Cameron.
I read them, I knew you were mine. You said you were mine, I thought you were mine. Do you know what Angelica said when we saw your first letter arrive? She said, be careful with that one, love. You will do what it takes to survive. You and your words flooded my senses. Your sentences left me defenseless. You built me palaces out of paragraphs. You built cathedrals. I'm rereading the letters you wrote me. I'm searching and scanning for answers in every line, for some kind of sign. And when you were mine, the world seemed to burn. You published the letters she wrote you. You told the whole world how you brought this girl into our bed. And clearing your name, you have ruined our lives. Do you know what Angelica said when she read what you'd done? She said, you have married an Icarus. He has flown too close to the sun. You and your words obsessed with your legacy. Your sentences border on senseless, and you are paranoid in every paragraph how they perceive you. I'm erasing myself from the narrative. Let future historians wonder how Eliza reacted when you broke her heart. You have torn it all apart. I'm watching it burn. Watching it burn. The world has no right to my heart. The world has no place in our bed. They don't get to know what I said. I'm burning the memories, burning the letters that might have redeemed you. You forfeit all right to my heart. You forfeit the place in our bed. You'll sleep I hope that you
I love that song. I love that it's so raw and you hear the pain and the grief in her words. It's just, there's a certain beauty to it. And so when you think about this idea of grief, it's one of those things that I know a lot of people in the church struggle with this idea that somehow that grief isn't being faithful, that it's wrong to feel sad and to struggle and to feel pain or any of those things. And we have that kind of that feeling and we hear that from people, but it just, I don't think it's helpful. I don't think it's true, and it frankly just isn't biblical. So in the Bible, there's actually a book called Lamentations. Lament means to weep, to wail. It is a book of people sharing their grief and their frustration. See, the people of Judah were struggling because Jerusalem had been destroyed in 586 BC. Nebuchadnezzar had sieged and laid waste to Jerusalem. And they were struggling and they were hurting and they were crying out to God in their pain and their frustration, even their pain and frustration with God. And it's this beautiful book. And so this idea that dealing with grief is somehow not a part of the Christian experience, well, how's that possible? Because it's part of our human experience. And so it very much is a part of it. I think about a story my dad told me about grief. So my uncle, his brother had died in a motorcycle accident. And my dad shared that he didn't grieve for a couple of years, really. And then one day he was driving down the highway and a song came on the radio. And my uncle had been a drummer, and it was a song that my uncle used to play a lot on the drums. And my dad said he heard this song and he pulled over to the side of the road and he just sat there for a couple of hours, crying, weeping, lamenting. But see, here's the point, is that he pulled over, he had a time for his grief, but then he, at some point, had to put the car back in drive and go on. See, I love the Hebrew people. They have this tradition where they have a time to remember their laments. They have a 3-week season where they mourn and they think about this. It ends with a 24-hour fast and they read sections out of Lamentations. There is a time to mourn and we have to give that a place, and it matters. But we have to also say we can't stay there forever, that we have to eventually put the car back in drive. We have to eventually move on. There's a season to grieve, but there's a season to move on. And so I want you to think about this Thanksgiving and this Christmas during the holiday season. There will be those in our friends and our families, that our churches, our schools, people we know, they're struggling because they're grieving, because they're missing somebody. It is okay. And I would like to encourage you, if you're one of those, it is okay to grieve. Take a moment and acknowledge that. But again, at some point, there has to be a season for it, but then try to set that aside and move forward. If you are a friend or a family member, support them in that. Allow people to have that space, but then help them also to go out of that season. To celebrate our grieving sounds kind of weird, but we almost have to do that. We almost have to say, this is beautiful. You know, the words and the song and her rawness and that emotion, there's a beauty in that, because that is life. And so I want to encourage you during this holiday season, support people. If you're one of those people, support yourself, give yourself a little bit of permission. Just think about that life is full of all kinds of things, and grief is one of them. It is just a part of life. And so as you go forward this week, celebrate life in all of its facets, even grief. Even grief is a part of our beautiful gift of life.